that said, great looking stream. Yeah, you might not believe this, Rob, but I actually prepared for today. I watched the movie, and I even wrote down a couple words. Can you believe it? I wrote words.
I do believe it.
Yeah,
I'm
excited.
looking forward to this, man.
Yeah.
This is an interesting flick. So
it was an interesting flick, intoxicating, wasn't it? And for those who don't know, we are talking today about the film Another Round. What do you say, Rob? Do you want to start off with a little trailer?
Yeah, why not?
Let's kick it off with the trailer. Let's set the mood. Here's the trailer, everyone.
A great scene.
Really was a great scene there. All right. So, for those of you who are watching the replay, we skipped over that. You weren't able to watch that. The link should be below in the description if you want to watch that preview. All right. What do you think, Rob? Are we ready for the chat? We gonna have it?
I think we are.
Okay.
And why don't we just dive into the film? And then I got a couple other hot takes, but let's just get into the film. We're all kind of primed. This is like our first virtual drink, so let's join the party.
Let us join the party. All right. Should we tell people what it's all about?
Absolutely. Here's the log line, folks, from IMDb. 4 friends, all high school teachers, test a theory that they will improve their lives by maintaining a constant level of alcohol in their blood. Basically, they start day drinking, on purpose.
Yeah.
As part of an experiment.
Science, right?
Science, absolutely.
Science.
I don't know if you've seen this film or if anyone else in the chat has seen this film, but I really felt like we entered into Bizarro World City Slickers. You have some middle-aged men who've lost their mojo. They're kind of burnt out. They're sort of muddling through life. And in the American film City Slickers, Billy Crystal and his buddies go to a dude ranch and in Europe, they go, well, let's just start day drinking. We don't have to go anywhere. So there's hot take number 1.
All right. Love it. It's
yeah,
science.
the talent. Oh, say that again?
Sorry, no, go on. The talent.
Yeah, talent. Directed by Thomas Vinterberg, written by him and his collaborator Tobias Lindholm. Thomas Vinterberg, one of the noteworthy things about him is he started the Dogma. Him and Lars von Trier started the Dogma 95 film movement in 1995. It stars Mads Mikkelsen, and I believe that is how you pronounce his first name. Not Mads, but Maz, something like that, something to that effect.
No idea.
And amongst some other great players who, you can see it right on the poster there, Thomas Bo Larsen, Magnus Milang, Lars Rante. There's a couple including Maria Bonnevie, who plays Martin's wife, Annika, Mads Mikkelsen's character, Martin's wife, Annika. She did a great job. Yeah. So that's basically the talent. It is, again, another noteworthy item. It's the Oscar nominee this year for Best International Feature.
Okay.
As far as the ideological ingredients go, Bechdel test, no.
Yeah, I was sort of watching for that, and I noted that as well. That's a big fail. Give me 1 moment to pause, please.
Absolutely.
There's that sound that I wanted. What a night. It's still in your head, right? Yeah. It's still in my head.
Mm-hmm. There's a few songs in here that are pretty cool.
Great music in there. All right. So, needs a little work. It does not pass the Bechdel test. Test. You could see there right in the chat the Bechdel test, whether or not there is at least one scene where let me read this off. I'm tripping here.
You bet.
Yeah. What is the test? It asks whether or not a work or something excuse me, it asks whether a work features at least two women who talk to each other about something other than a man or oftentimes the lead character. And
Other than a
no,
dude.
other than the dude, and it fails. It's just it's nope.
It is.
No, fail.
This is not the movie you're looking for.
Yeah, this ain't it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as class consciousness goes, we had a bit of a discussion about it last night.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, and I'd like to hear what you think, but for me, no. It really is a kind of, and when I say middle class, I mean they're all working class people, but there's no, it's well-fed corporate, what do they call it? That corporate capitalism. Denmark is one of those countries. Great, strong social democracy. I'm not knocking what the community has been able to do to, get for labor peace. A lot of holidays, high wages, practical real subsidies for their homes and everything. And you wouldn't know that by watching this. You'd just think everyone's rich. So,
Exactly. You really would.
Okay. Yeah. So you same take, right?
Carl is sad. I had the same take as well. Yeah. All right. And then I guess lastly, do we think it's worth your time?
Well, it is a union-made film, though.
Okay.
I think we can
it's
say
union
that.
made. That's good to know.
Yeah. And does it get the reframe stamp? No. It's
No
pretty
reframe
much
stamp.
a sausage fest on the screen and above the line, behind the camera.
Okay. So not the most progressive thing in the world made, but well, what do you think? Is it worth your time?
I think so. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I felt it was worth your time. Is it your classic? I think it was worth your time. I'm not going to qualify it. I do. I enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
Even if it was almost watching a bit of a train wreck.
Yeah, it very much was sort of like that. I too will give it my thumbs up. I say it's worth your time. It's worth your time.
Listen, we should be raising. This is not an alcoholic beverage. It is just coffee, notwithstanding the bullshit bar setting I'm in.
I thought we were gonna do the test this week. I'm drunk. I'm at 0.05 right now. You're not drunk?
I am not.
Is that what you're just saying?
I felt I would jump to the. Maybe not
whoops.
Well, it's a weird flick.
Whoops. I guess I missed the memo on that. I'm wasted. So I prepared a couple words here. I think it's an intoxicating, a clever, sometimes even melancholy, often comedic film. Featuring, from director Winterberg, my first film, I believe, from Winterberg. It sort of almost asks you to look for maybe a deeper meaning from these. I would say it has lots of intimate looks at midlife crises. It has intimate looks at alcoholism and sort of like life itself. It almost asks you to find deeper meaning, but it doesn't. It doesn't really ask you to do that. But that's fine for me. It's fine for me. Maybe you have a different interpretation, but it doesn't really ask for deeper introspection. It's, for me, a balanced movie. It's sort of fun. It's sort of sad. It's funny as well. It's definitely sort of funny. And it actually features all of my favorite actors. That's right. Beer, champagne, whiskey, cocktails.
They go the whole range.
Yeah, they really do.
And not the cheap stuff.
No way. And it's Mads. How do we say the name?
Smirnoff alcohol.
I saw a little Smirnoff in there.
Maz Mikkelsen.
Maz. So Maz and the entire cast, I think, they bring the entire escalating experiment to life. They definitely don't get in the way of the story. They help bring it to life, and I think he remains sympathetic throughout. So good writing, good acting combination there, and it is in a foreign language. Did we ever determine what that is? Where are they and what language?
It's Danish.
It's Danish. Okay.
Mikkelsen, I believe, is Swedish, but the director is a Dane. Him and Lars von Trier are both Danes. Yeah,
right.
It's
so
set in Denmark.
Dutch, and you barely notice the subtitles. You're entirely drawn into the movie, and that's why I do say it's worth your time. What were you saying, Rob?
I was saying, yes, it's a Danish film.
Yeah.
They're speaking Danish. The subtitles, that's what you're saying. You didn't find the subtitles getting in the way, nor do I. Once you kind of get into it, if it's a good movie, you stay in the movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Keep trying to balance here. Anyway, never mind that. Uh, what I found fascinating was the it does. It has a nuanced view. Like I think the take on middle age crises was interesting and subtle, not exactly, maybe not original, except in compared to, and Jim and I talked about this a lot last night, North American film, especially film out of Hollywood, we didn't see any of the standard tropes as they were reacting to this moment in their lives when they're talking, oh, when we were young, we were big deals and we had so much promise and all that stuff. Usually in a North American film, and especially a Hollywood film, it'd be one of them would get a sports car, divorce his wife for a younger woman. You know, there'd be that kind of, they would slip into those tropes here, which I think is like almost such a European thing. It's like, first of all, the way they're challenged, Mads Mikkelsen, they're all teachers. Mads Mikkelsen, basically, it starts with an intervention, you know, where the principal's saying, just go talk to them. He thinks it's going to be with a couple of kids who are whining about his teaching technique. It's an actual grade A intervention from these kids, their parents, and basically, they're just kind of, you know, we think you're kind of phoning it in, and we're worried about our education. I'm like, only Europeans would do that. You know, only. Now, there's an interesting politic there, maybe we can get into later, but it was still like just so European. Even if we had that scene in a North American film, it would be way more, the conflict would be 211. There would be yelling. They'd have that evil parent who is helicoptering. The kids would be snotty. Some wouldn't care. Some would. Here it's all like, we're really concerned you're just not, you know, we're concerned you're not doing your job, and we're worried about our education, and we need to do something. You know, it's like the most reasonable intervention you'd ever see. And the way he responds to it, kind of mumbling about kids and their cell phones, it was like just such a great little moment that the whole movie turns on, where it's like he is not willing to admit that he's phoning it in. So, of course, he gets desperate. He obviously is worried about his marriage, all this stuff, unwilling to talk about it in a real way, which feels so, it just felt so human, so real. Not big arc, not a whole bunch of drama, just four middle-aged teachers just trying to figure it out. And of course, the youngest one is the one who comes up with the goofy idea, much like City Slickers, whereas the youngest one who said, let's go to the Dude Ranch. Right. I'm telling you, this is the European take on City Slickers. I enjoyed that discussion, and that it just felt really real, which I agree with you. You could connect with all of the characters. You had sympathy for them all, even as they're making one terrible choice after another. On its drinking culture, though, there is, I think, the part where Jim and I had the most, we really struggled with it, because on one level, it seems to be consciously saying, and it's even written as a thesis for, I think, the original play, where it's like, hey, drinking is important. Alcohol is important, because if we didn't have alcohol, maybe, you know, the history would have turned out differently, you know, and referring to the prodigious alcohol intake of Winston Churchill versus the teetotaler Adolf Hitler, that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, it's kind of saying, let's not throw the alcohol baby out with the alcohol bathwater.
It did, yeah.
But
it wasn't. It wasn't anti-alcohol. It sort of wasn't. It was just realistic. Like, this is what happens when you get really fucked up. and you know, every step up to there as well. It was escalating, wasn't it? I loved that scene in the grocery store. I was dying.
Oh. And it's a well-structured film. That scene comes at the right time, where they're all just, it's like, they're never finding this codfish. And then they end up we'll just go catch cod off the dock.
I was losing
Let's screw it. Let's go to the bar. Like, it's just,
very funny.
It was is funny, but in such a human way, in such a, I don't want to say low arc, in a realistic way.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to get a little film
Okay.
analysis pretentious here. I think it really does show Vinterberg's Dogma 95 roots. A
Yeah.
lot of handheld, a lot of very natural. The Dogma 95, if you scroll down to the rules, you'll see it's only Europeans we will have a movement. Shooting must be done on location.
Purify filmmaking
So,
by
yeah.
refusing
Cameras
expensive and
handheld.
spectacular effects and other
Yeah.
gimmicks.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't have murder, weapons, nothing that isn't part of our normal lives, right?
Yeah.
No, like it says, no superficial action. You can't screw around with time frames, flashbacks, none of that nonsense.
Hmm.
Now, of course, this isn't a perfect Dogma 95 film.
Okay.
It literally, and this is my favorite part. I got to read this. This is what the director has to swear to, his oath of chastity. Furthermore, I swear as a director.
Oops. There we are.
To refrain from personal taste. I am no longer an artist. I swear to refrain from creating a work, as I regard the instant as more important than the whole. My supreme goal is to force the truth out of my characters and settings. I swear to do so by all the means available and at the cost of any good taste and any aesthetic considerations. Thus, I make my vow of chastity. Now, as pretentious as that reads, as strict as the Dogma 95 rules were, and they were breaking them right out of the gate. The first Dogma 90 film, filmed by Vinterberg himself, he blew off a couple of the rules.
Okay.
But you see it in this movie. Like, you actually see something where those roots, handheld camera, natural, like all practical lighting. Mm-hmm. And so you see if they're using a bounce card, they're not using a good one. It's not special effects. It's all location driven. And I think it really, they have something in this ridiculous movement that they declared dead in 2005. Because of course you declare it, you create it, and then you kill it. But you see those roots in this film, which felt real at all times. You never, as ridiculous as some of the scenarios are, they felt real and human. I've been that drunk in a public place with buddies late at night. You know, at no time do you go, this is all unrealistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, even the ridiculous experiment, there's a part of me kind of wonder, maybe 4 teachers would do that. You know, it's, hey, let's flirt with alcoholism. I want to improve my work performance.
I mean, come on. You thought about it while watching the movie. You're like, I might, maybe, you know, you considered it. You know, maybe. See what that's like.
And it doesn't moralize about it. Like, again, in films that you and I are used to, I bet you a lot of the chat is used to, there'd be that, oh, well, of course he has to hit rock bottom before he can recover. Everything has to be blown up. Maybe somebody killed or somebody close to being killed. No, these guys never take cars. They're all taking cabs near the end. They don't behave badly in that way, which makes, and it's a great scene as they hook into the third act where he really is hit his limit. You know, he got so loaded. His kid is, okay, this is not our house. And that I've done. This is not our house. We got to get into our house. And he's sober. He's sobered up and he's actually violent. It's the first time he as a character is actually expressing his feelings, because that's part of it. You see him at the beginning. He's not engaged. He's like, do I bore you? Well, you're not the guy I married. Okay. Just goes back to his book. It's like, what the hell, man?
Okay.
Talk to the woman.
That was the depth of his answer. Yeah. I would have been like,
yeah,
what?
Well,
I'm amazing.
But
go on.
Even when you're asking that question, you kind of know you know your answer, right? You know, and you're like confirming something. That's why I think later on when her infidelity comes out, he was worrying about that at the beginning. He's just at the beginning of the film, he's unwilling to face the reality of his life. And even on that key critical moment where he finally gets angry, even then he's still being that bit of a weasel he was with the kids, except this time he's trying to put it on his wife. Well, it's not like you ever talked to me, that kind of, it felt so real. This is why it's a worthwhile film, everyone. Yeah. It's a real movie, and it's got a bit of a down note here and there. It's got a weird flourish at the end because Mads Mikkelsen is my age with a full head of hair, healthy AF. And of course, he was trained as a professional dancer when he was younger. So
I love the jazz ballet thread that they had in that movie. I thought that was very smart.
And then they paid it off.
Yeah, that was very smart. They planted the egg, a little Easter egg there, and yeah.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I am. I'm really, I'm glad you enjoyed it too, man.
I loved it. I watched it this morning actually before the show on YouTube, and I played it at 1.5 speed, just to help cut down on time. But I didn't feel like anything was lost. I still enjoyed it. I was like, wow, I still like this movie. It was entertaining. I was entertained. Definitely, a little bit fun.
And while I agree with you, it's not trying to make any big life statements, deep political statements.
Yeah.
I think there is depth there.
Okay.
It's subtle, it's nuanced. Let's say it's giving the subject the amount of, instead of making it big and ponderous and important with a capital I, it kind of discusses something that is, obviously it's like, are we really letting these kids get this out of hand? At the beginning of the film, and no spoilers here, everyone. No. The beginning of the film, like right at the beginning, it starts with this youth drinking game.
Yeah.
And there's a great bit. I don't want to give it away. I can't give this away because it's not a theme thing. It's not going to wreck the movie, but it's such a great little moment. But needless to say, they have a confrontation on a bus with, police, and without getting into the end of the confrontation, it is so European. Like the cops are like, "Listen, kids, can you take it down a notch?
Take it down a notch."
We would have it be like it's an invasion. They're all going to jail for, public drinking, public drunkenness. Like it, there would be video of police brutalizing kids.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like how you pick that out.
Especially if any of them were brown.
Exactly. I like how you picked that out, Rob. That stuck out to me too. I was like, what the hell? Why are they? He literally says, "Can you take it down a notch?" And I'm like, what the fuck? What planet is this? It's amazing.
Now, I have not been that far north in Europe.
Yeah.
But I have been in Germany.
Okay.
And I'm buying it. I was fortunate enough the last time I was in Germany with German friends going to a German football game. Like a soccer game, and we're on the tram. So of course it's packed with fans. We started in a German beer garden in the town square, having a beer, 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, we're on the tram. And the tram driver says, "This doesn't sound like a game bus. Come on." And he starts singing over the radio one of the team songs.
Yeah.
This is the world you're in. And so I bought it, and I bought that the cops would be just, can we take it down a notch? I mean, you kids are enjoying yourselves, but, and even when the moment of the scene, the climax of the scene, cop isn't going crazy. Cop still kind of more an lecturing tone, not a
get back here.
All right, we're losing control.
Very funny.
Get the armored vehicles.
Yeah, right. Get the tanks. Exactly.
I'm actually getting misty about that moment. To see, and this is not to say that European law enforcement in any of these countries, because all cops are bastards.
Yeah.
But to see them, like how culture and public expectations can restrain their behavior, I both get a little misty about, and I also say that we can draw hope from that. We can control these ding-dongs. Plus, it was just funny. It was a great scene. What a great way to start a movie.
It was a great scene. Question from the audience. If you had to recast Maz's character as a Muppet, what Muppet would play Maz? Why are we asking this? Okay, go on. Yes.
That is a great question. Well, I'm serious. We actually Jim and I talked a lot about this last night. Not necessarily
Don't
about
encourage
Muppets,
it.
but
Go on. Yeah.
wait. I'm gonna give this question some credit because it hooks into a conversation we had. It is as great as the supporting cast was, and I thought they were pretty solid.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Everyone was really wonderful. The film carried. Yeah. Told the story.
Absolutely. It is driven by that character, that Martin character.
Yeah.
And so if it isn't, we started like Jim had started with the only reason this works, the only reason I can recommend it is Mads Mikkelsen makes it work. And I modified that. I said, it is so leaning on this one character. It has to be a high caliber, like truly a high caliber actor playing that role. And so to answer this question, I'd say Kermit's the only one who could be in the Mads Mikkelsen role. I could totally see Kermit being a burnt out high school teacher, and recovering into a dancer to get some of his joie de vivre back, his je ne sais quoi. Totally. So there you go. I have an answer for that.
Let me throw this in here. Yeah, that's a good one. I like Kermit. Let me throw this in here. We talked about a couple weeks back. We talked about the Dark Divide, right? David Cross. Do we think? I'm not saying would he work, but do we think a David Cross character would help to carry this? A David Cross caliber character, actor. Do you think they'd be able to carry this? And if not, because my answer is no, do we think maybe that was the issue with Dark Divide? We didn't really put our finger on it then.
Well, I don't.
That's my problem.
Partly, I don't know if I could see any North American actor pulling this one off.
For sure.
It really is so European a sensibility. Okay. They'd have to, if they were going to cast a North American actor, they'd have to play as though they're Danish. Which possible, but then you get into, well, that's a star. We have certain expectations of our stars. Like, that's so hard for an actor to break out of. And I think part of the problem for David Cross in The Dark Divide was he couldn't quite deliver. Maybe like part of the problem, it's not necessarily a great movie. Like I know you and I differed on it, but I wasn't in any way saying genius. Right. I think David Cross couldn't quite create a character where we forgot he was David Cross. Yeah. And so all of a sudden we're not buying any of it. We're still we see some of his ticks, some of his moves. Whereas with Mads Mikkelsen, well, he's got that brooding Scandinavian vibe to him already. So a burnt out, hard drinking teacher kind of moping along. Perfect. With his full head of hair, 6 feet tall, dancer body. It's like, and chiseled, tanned good looks.
Right.
Oh, life is hard for Mads.
Right. Let's talk about what we're going to move on to next week. I'm sorry. Did I cut you off? Do we have anything left to talk about? I think we've covered a couple things. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, let's keep going.
But I did have a couple of things I wanted to. First of all, something I wanted to talk about. I had gotten into a thing on Twitter of all bloody places. Yeah. I know the shocks. How could one have a disagreement on Twitter? I had seen a post from somebody. I'm not going to name the person because that's not what I'm trying to get at here. But it was regarding Blade Runner 2049. And the person who's in, let's say, my film analysis review kind of scene said, we let this film down. That was the woman's bold statement. Of course, I had responded, how do you let a film down? She's like, is this a rhetorical question? And I'm like, okay, I got to be careful here. I don't want to turn it into a thing. But in the end, the thesis of her argument was that this film should have done better and it should have gotten more love than it did, et cetera, et cetera. I was like, I disagreed with this on a couple of levels. One, I think it got the box office it deserved. Full stop. It had a ton of promotion. There's like 495 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, all certified fresh. Like hardly anyone didn't like this movie. They did feature quality short films to help promote it. It was very much, I don't think anyone at the time didn't know this film was coming out. No one was going, who's this Denis Villeneuve? Ryan Gosling? Who's that? Harrison Ford? Didn't he die? No one was saying that. Like it had a lot of marketing push behind it. And so the 200 million in box office sales it got, I think that's about all it was ever going to get. This film's kind of it's hard sci-fi. It's got a bit of a down note ending. This isn't Star Wars. This isn't a big Pixar epic where you can bring the whole family. It is not a 4-quadrant film. It did as well as it could. And I think the studio, all the people who put money in this knew that from the get-go, and it got what it deserved. And the fact of the matter is it is getting some vibe, but where this comes to and why I wanted to bring it up here with you folks is because you see in some of the Twitter responses how much it's like, there was one quote here, I'll quote it directly. I was so disappointed seeing the opening night crowd. And I'm like, who fucking, here's the F sharp, who fucking cares about the opening night crowd? That is not our problem as audience members. If I owe this film anything, I owe it the money it's charging me to watch it. And then later on, I might be going, I think I'm owed some of that money back, or boy, I got good value. But that's about the relationship. How the hell can you, and it's like this amount of love and devotion and obligation to something that's barely an object. I love this pen. It's one of those, remember these from back in the day?
Different colors,
multicolor.
Love it.
But it's a pen. But at least it's a thing that I can hold in my hand. A movie, you don't even get to do that. So, Dan, here's what I'm curious about. Is this because the individuals we're talking about, they may present themselves as critics and film reviewers, but I think in a way the core of them is their fans. And I'm wondering, as I was getting ready for this show, I'm like, is fandom really it's a false consciousness, I think, like in a Marxist sense. There's the studio, it doesn't feel for these people. It could give two shits about these folks. It thinks hooking with the fans, it's like free marketing. We'll throw them some attention and oh my God, it's like a multiplier in their marketing efforts. And for myself, it's like, this is not your obligation. Like, enjoy the movie. It's an interesting hobby, but to love something, which is really to love the corporate creators of it, even be a fan of the filmmaker. But again, Denis Villeneuve, if he has any real connection to us as viewers, as audience members, it's like, well, I hope you just keep watching my movies so I can keep making $150, $200 million films. I don't think there's much of a connection beyond that, except crowd adulation. Ah, yes, worship me. I don't know. What do you think? Like, am I crazy? Am I missing something here?
I'm not sure. I think this is a seed that you're going to go ahead and plant in my head, and I'm going to go ahead and mull this over and come back. I think maybe with a more thoughtful response. I haven't thought about this at all, and I literally sometimes I can riff and bounce some ideas, but I got nothing right now. I'm just loving hearing you talk, Rob. I don't have a take on this.
Very kind. That's very kind of you. And that's perfect. That's a great answer. Maybe if you're up for it, I'd love to if we could maybe, I'd love to hear your thoughts next week, if or when you feel like, hey, we can bite into this. In many respects, I'm just kind of putting it out there, not just for you, but your audience. Yeah, and also just to kind of go, am I crazy? Am I the one who's nuts here?
I don't think so, Rob. You seem like you got some shit figured out, and that's why we have you come on every week and chat with us about things.
Well, thank you.
I'll go ahead and ponder on that. I think you're onto something right there, and I'd love to continue that conversation. Do we want to chat about what's up next week?
Yes, we do.
All right. Next week,
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Judas and the Black Messiah. So excited about this one. I've seen it, so I already know what my review is going to be. Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah. I haven't seen it. I've managed to hold based on Gemini's rules. So I'm really looking forward to this. We have been talking about this movie, Gemini, since back in the fall when we knew it was coming out. But then, of course, with COVID, it kept getting delayed. And is it going to be in theaters, or heck, are theaters in Canada going to be open, or at least where we live? And now finally we can see it, and it's gotten some Oscar love. And I want to see if it's worthy of it. I suspect it is.
Yeah. We had a question that just arose from the chat, and I was wondering myself, what rules are you talking about? What rules do you and Jim have for your show? Yeah, I'm curious. I guess we could watch the show. Any one of us could have watched a show to answer this, but yeah, feel free.
It's one of the unless we are talking about does it hold up, where it's a movie we saw decades ago, usually, from our youth in the 80s, where we're looking at it with middle-aged white guy eyes going, does this film actually as good as we thought it was back in the day? Unless it's one of those, and we only do those once or twice, every now and then, the rest of it is Jim and I can't have seen the film. So we pick films based on that, and we watch it because our show's whole idea came from Jim and I. We'd go see a movie. We would go see a movie in the theater. We would then go to a coffee. So stereotypically Canadian, we now end up in a fucking Tim Hortons at 11:30 at night. Coffee, maybe a donut, perhaps, or a muffin, and then we talk about the movie. And it was like half of our movie experience, at least for me, became, well, watch the movie, then we're going to talk about it. And it's going to be a couple of hours of catching up, and the conversation gets really right. So we've decided we do our best to stick to that. I think we've only cheated once, and that was with Tenet. But otherwise, we see it that week, and preferably that day. So our takes, our research may not be as deep, but we get our freshest take. Yeah. And so, for instance, this movie I saw yesterday at 6 p.m., like literally 2 hours before. Sometimes I've watched it 2 or even 3 days before, but it's always within that week, that idea to get the fresh take. So that's part of our rules. The other aspect is a lot of films we watch, you'll see they've got, although we're trying to steer away from that, especially at the beginning, a lot of genre production, whether it be heist movies or space opera or whatever the hell, in part because Jim's partner, Jim's wife, would say, oh, you can see that with Rob. But then there'd be other films where she's like, nope, that's a great film for you and I to see, or a great film for our family to see. But there'd be a whole class of movies where she'd literally say, oh, you can see that with Rob. And so you'll see a bit of that. Not necessarily a rule, but a tendency. There's an effect there. There you are.
There you are, Rob. Question from the chat: Where does your name come from in terms of maybe lineage? Where does it come from? Is it a Scandinavian type name? It's a beautiful
Kristjansson.
name.
It is Icelandic. Actually,
it seems like a peculiar spelling of it as well. Not peculiar, but a unique spelling.
It is Icelandic.
An Icelandic spelling. Beautiful.
Yeah. So the naming in Iceland, the naming conventions are. If you're a son, you're the son of a dad. And so when you see an Icelandic man, it would be to be Chris. I'd be, let's say, whatever my first name is. Let's say Valar. That's my dad's middle name, actually. Valar Kristjansson. So Christians, a classic Scandinavian name, Christian's son.
Yeah.
So that's why there's the two S's, because the first name would have been not Christian, but Christians. Manitoba, much like North Dakota and Minnesota, have a lot of Scandinavian, folks who came in the 19th century and later, but mostly the 19th century. Iceland went through a couple of horrific volcano eruptions that destroyed 90% of the arable land, and there's not a lot there anyway. So a lot of starving Icelanders came to Canada, went near Gimli, Manitoba, right around a lake, because what did they know? Fishing. And so they just went to another godforsaken part of our province to fish. Of course, fishing and living on land that had been, indigenous for thousands of years. It's like, but government of Canada, shoo fly. Here, we've got some even shittier land for you. Here's your reserve. But yeah, it's a part of our thing. But actually, if you want to talk heritage,
sure.
I mean, I'm barely Icelandic. My dad, his father is actually a Pole. My paternal grandmother had quite the wild life. And so, it's really kind of, my mother, though, on the other hand, is a British immigrant. My grandparents, all that, they came in 1954, right when war rationing was ending in England. So, I don't think of myself as anything but I am a Winnipegger. I am a closet Marxist of these parts. But yeah, there you go. There's yet another long answer to a simple question.
Perfect. Love it. No, I mean, this is how you make content, baby. This is how you do it. I love it. This is great. Okay, so next week we'll be looking forward to talking about Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yes,
I'm fucking excited. I'm excited.
Finally, I'm so glad you're jazzed.
Yeah, I'm finally one that's going to make Daddy Marks proud, and that's no spoiler. That's no spoiler. We're talking about history here.
I am hoping. Well, we will get into this next week. Actually, I'm going to put a pin in it.
All right.
We need to talk about next week.
Yeah.
The trial of the Chicago 7, the recent Aaron Sorkin film.
Right.
And we'll bring that up in our conversation. Quick. I got one more thing I'd like to plug with your permission.
Oh, of course.
We are, of course, Jim and I are ramping up to the Oscars, April 25th. We're actually going to do a kind of watch party. Let's put air quotes on it. We are going to do a live show that night. And we've actually developed a way to get our audience involved. We have created a Google form, which you can go on to, make your Oscar picks, and then, on the night of, and you can even change them. I think I sent you that link to the Google form, but you can go on there now, register, make your choices. And if you change your mind in a week, you can change your mind on your form. And we'll know about that. We only cut it off at 6 p.m. the night of. An hour before the actual show starts, it'll be like, okay, it doesn't matter how many times you change it. You cannot change it no more. And then we'll actually throw a show where we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to treat it like as ridiculous as ESPN treats a football event. We'll have, or a golfing event. We'll have a leaderboard. We're just going to have a lot of fun with it. We want to kind of create we're not choosing quality here. The Oscars are so problematic anyway. Let's just have some fun, so would love it if people were into that. you know what? You give us your email address in part
Yeah.
so you can actually we can send you the receipt, your bingo card, your filled out bingo card, and that it also comes with a link so you can change it. We do have a procedure unless you allow us to, I'll be deleting any identifying information no later than May. It is LeftFLIX and Chill, baby.
Yeah.
May 1st.
Okay.
May Day, the end
May
of
Day.
2359 May Day. Yeah, you know what, folks, love to see if you guys participate. There may
All right.
be prizes. There'll be a very little value or even maybe more honor.
Yeah.
But we hope we're gonna have a fun on what's on this cultural touchstone. It's got a fair bit of bullshit attached to it.
Okay.
But it's still a thing. So there you go. That's my plug, man.
Stoked. Yeah, really excited about that one. That'll be good. Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's
With any
next
luck,
week.
we'll have some fun with it.
And of course, wait. And you're going to be talking about it when? When's the stream? Next Sunday?
We're going to be promoting this thing right up to April 25th. April 25th is the actual Oscars night.
Okay.
It's just you can start your predictions now, play around with that all the way up to that night. And then you watch the live stream. And like I said, we'll have a leaderboard. In the lead now is in-game name. Again, we want to respect everyone's privacy.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I hope.
I hope so too. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. Well, okay, Rob. What do you think? What's left? Have we talked about everything?
I think we've covered it all, baby.
Oh, that sucks. I sort of want to I could do this all day. It's so
riffing,
chill.
eh?
Yeah, buddy. All right.
You know what? Thank you again for having me on.
Right.
I like I've said before, I look forward to this every week. I look forward to the questions from your folks. I like that I get to stretch my left wing wings. My left wings. My left wings.
You got it.
Out a bit. And thanks, great. Dan.
Oh.
This is always awesome. Always
Rob,
a great time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming by. You're my man. Always fun to chat with you. We'll be looking forward to next week. Judas and the Black Messiah. All right.
Groovy, baby.
That's groovy. All right. We need like an outro line, like see you on the flick side. I don't know. I just made that up. That's not bad for on the fly. That's not bad. I've had better. Yeah.
And you know what? That's a great. I also need like I love the way you intro us. We're the thing you didn't know you needed.
I forgot that this week. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there was extenuating circumstances.
Everything happened. No problems. Yeah.
I need a tag. Your left-wing film reviewer, your left-wing commentator. I need a tag. I don't have a tagline. I don't, our show has something, but I don't have one. And I'd love to get your thoughts on that and your chat's thoughts on that. Not right now. Again,
a tagline for the show or just like in general?
For me as a film guy.
Right. For you as a film guy in general. Okay. Rob, the leftist film guy. That's all I got. Keep it simple, Rob. I don't know. It doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't. But that's why it's a seed. I'm not asking for an answer right now.
All right. The seed is planted.
All right, man.
The seed is planted. No, that's beautiful. Rob, thank you again. Love your face. We'll be looking forward to talking to you next week, okay?
You betcha, brother.
All right. Peace now. Love your face. Uh-oh. Is this broken? Oh, no. Hey, YouTube. You're watching a clip from my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/iDanSimpson, where you can follow for free and subscribe for only $5 a month. Thanks for watching.